I know, it's your job to protect Yugi, but you can't protect him from everything. Yugi wouldn't want you to blame yourself, and you know it. He'll be all right. Yugi is a strong person. I know that he'll pull through, Solomon said. How can you be so sure? Yami asked. Because Yugi is a strong person, and he wouldn't give up like that, Solomon said. He smiled and added, Besides, he loves you far too much to leave you. For the first time in hours, Yami gave a small smile. You're right, Yami agreed. Come on, let's give the others a chance to see him, Solomon said. Yami nodded, and the two left the room, heading back to where the others were. When they returned, they saw the others talking. What's going on? Yami asked. Police have caught the one suspected of the shooting, Seto said. Have they said who it was? Yami asked. Yeah, Lisa Moore and Trenton and Greenway, Marek growled. Dun dun dun. Weren't they two of the teachers who were fired last year? Yami asked. Yeah, looks like they were probably pissed that they lost their jobs and decided to take it out on the students, Seto said. Yes, as every normal person would. And destroyed a lot of lives in the process, Malik growled, thinking of the students who died. 2 of the students were brought to the hospital, died, Taya added quietly. That's 5, Yami said softly. The group nodded. Those 2 are in for trouble, Seto said. No shit, Seto. How's Yugi? Haber asked. As well as can be expected, Solomon said. He caught Atamu's eyes and told him seemingly to go with Haber to see Yugi. Atamu nodded. Come on, Haber, let's go see Yugi, Atamu said. Haber nodded and the 2 walked off. Talk about twisted, Tristan said. Yeah, I can't believe those 2 endangered innocent lives just because they were angry that they lost their jobs, Malik said. Well, they'll pay for it, Solomon said. Yeah, it's sad that the students who died had to pay the price, Joey said. No one disagreed. Like Dr. Reed had said, Yugi was moved out of the ICU 2 days, and the oxygen mask had been removed, but Yugi still hadn't woken up. Yugi was in a coma. Don't ask me how that works. It had been a devastating truth for them all to hear. Now they were all constantly going to the hospital to see Yugi, and they were now able to stay with Yugi. Yami barely left the hospital except for at night, but he didn't sleep well. He missed having Yugi there to hold at night. Everyone was worried for Yugi and hoped that he would wake up soon. Domino High School was closed for 2 weeks due to the shooting. Several memorial services had been held for the students who had died during the shooting. Warning, the next 2 sentences bend the English language over a barrel and just don't stop wailing on it. Yami saw sitting beside Yugi in the hospital again. He was just sitting there holding Yugi's hand. He sighed. Yugi, I wish that you would wake up. I miss talking to you. We all need you now, Yami said quietly. A moment later the door opened and Haber walked in. Hey Yami, Haber said. Hey Haber, Yami replied. No change? Haber asked. No, Yami said softly. He'll wake up. I know he will, Haber said. I want to believe that, but the longer he stays like this, the harder it is for me to believe that, Yami said. Don't worry, Yami. He will. Yugi's never been one to give up on anything in his life, and he certainly won't give up on living, not when he has so much to live for, Haber said. He smiled and said, If he worked 8 years on completing the Millennium Puzzle and didn't stop trying, then you should know that he's not going to give up on this. Yami smiled back. You're right. It just gets harder, Yami said. I bet it does. The door to the hospital flung open and the rest of the gang ran in, minus Seto, Bakura, and Marek. You're not going to believe this, Joey said. Believe what? Yami asked. Keep it down before you're thrown out of the hospital for disturbing other patients, Haber added. They've indicted those 2 teachers for everything. They're going to trial, Ryu said. Let's just hope that they get convicted, Yami said. For teachers, they're not that bright, Tristan said. Meaning? Yami asked. These 2 kept detailed records of everything that they did. The police found plans for how they were going to do the shooting in both their apartments. They also found receipts for all the firearms that they sued during the shooting, Atamu added. They found the guns on them when they were arrested, Malik said. Everyone knew that, Haber said. Yeah, and the bullets have been matched to the guns. There's no doubt that they were the ones who did the shooting, Taya said. Good, they've caused enough harm, Yami said. No joke, Mokuba agreed. Well, at least we know that the ones responsible aren't getting away with what they did, Joey said. Any clue as to why they did it? Yami asked. Same reason we thought. They were angry that they had been fired, so they teamed up and decided to get back at the school by shooting at it.
Serenity said. I don't think that they took into account the fact that they could hurt or kill innocent students who had nothing to do with them being fired, Taya said. It just shows how little some people value human life, Haber said. Well, they're certainly going to come to regret it, Marek said. The group turned to find Marek and Bakura there. When did you two get here? Ryu asked. A few minutes ago, Bakura answered. Any change with Yugi? Marek asked. No, Yami said. Marek and Bakura had become more civilized and were rather easy on Yami now, with what had been happening. They couldn't imagine how they would feel if their lights and boyfriends were in that situation, so they had been more compassionate towards Yami and what he was dealing with. Well, I guess all we can do now is wait until Yugi wakes up, Joey said. Yeah, I just hope that it's soon, Tristan said. All eyes turned to the unconscious teen on the bed. They all wanted their friend to wake up. It was growing late and Yami was still sitting beside Yugi. He sighed. Yugi, I wish that you would wake up. We all miss you. I miss you, Yami said. He reached out and brushed Yugi's bags out so his eyes. He knew that when he did that at home, Yugi would always scrunched his face up at the action. Yugi didn't do anything now. Yami sighed. I hope that you could come back to us soon. Yugi, we all need you, Yami said. He tightened his grip on Yugi's hand as he felt tears come to his eyes. He wiped them away before they could fall. Yami looked at the clock and saw how late it was. I have to go home now, Yugi, but I promise you that I will come back tomorrow. I'll keep coming back until you wake up, Yami said. He leaned down and kissed Yugi gently on the lips before he left the room, knowing that he would be back the next morning. Author's notes. Hope you liked it. Sorry if this chapter was boring, but the next one should be better. Next, Yugi wakes up. R&R.